After every triathlon, it is important to recover properly so that we are injury-free and well-rested to go into our next training block for our next race. So let's talk about what that recovery might look like, what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and then what I did after my last 70.3 Indian Wells. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If we haven't met before, my name is Lucas, and on this channel I cover everything regarding to triathlon from my perspective about middle pack, average age group triathlete that's just doing this for fun with the regular 9-to-5 job and everything else that's going on in life. So if you're interested in that, make sure you stick around, and in today's video I want to talk to you about recovery after your triathlon. Recovering from any sport, event, from any race can be a very individual thing, and we definitely need to look at it on an individual perspective. But there's still three main categories that we can apply to our recovering process and figure out how much time we might need personally. The first category is your fitness status. How fit were you going into the race? Maybe how much experience did you have? Was this your first race, or have you raced a lot of other races before? Your fitness status and your experience in these races determines how fast your body can bounce back from an event like that. For example, we see it in pros a lot. Pros are able to bounce back from a full distance Ironman where they go all out within a matter of a week or two and then race again, and they seem to be doing all right. This definitely is a heavy tax on their body, but their body is experienced enough to recover quickly from an event like that. On the other side, if you are first time ever 70.3 or full distance Ironman athlete, you might not be able to bounce back. This was a very, very big event on your body, and your body might just need 3, 4, 6 weeks to really bounce back and rebuild itself after an event like that. So for the first category, think about how much experience you have in the game and how fit you were going into the race. Category number 2 is, where are you at in your season? Was this the last event of your season and now you got 3, 4, 6 months of off season or building season and you don't have another race coming up? Or was this more at the beginning or the middle of your season and you have another race already in a month? You might look at your recovery a little bit different, and you might speed up recovery in the middle or at the beginning of your season if you have another race lined up fairly quickly after, compared to when you're at the end of your season and you can really just put your legs up for 2 weeks, not do anything because you don't have anything else coming up for another 4 or 5 months. So category number 2 is, where are you at in your season? The third category, and it might sound a little vague and difficult to measure, but there are some measurements we can do, is how are you feeling? And this is the most important of all, because even if your next race is coming up or you went super fit into this race, you're very experienced and you want to get right back on it, if you're not feeling up to it, it might not be a good idea to get right back on the bike and start hammering out some high watts, because it can lead to injury. And the last thing we want is to end our season or to get injured even mid-season right before the next race. So let's apply those three categories. How experienced and how fit were you when you went into the race? Where in your season are you at? And how are you feeling? Let's apply those three categories to the recovery process of myself that I did after my race of 70.3 Indian Wells on December 4. Category number 1, how experienced or how fit did I go into the race? I would say that I went into the race very fit. I definitely went into the race with the expectations of giving another personal best, which I did, not as much as I wanted to, but if you want the full race recap, I'll leave you a link down in the description for that. However, I went into the race with an expectation of getting my best time in a 70.3 so far. Therefore, I went into the race very fit. How experienced am I? This was my 4th 70.3 and my 2nd 70.3 this year. So I would say I'm still fairly inexperienced. While my training might be relatively high in volume and I'll surely be able to ramp it up over the last year, racing, I haven't experienced that many races. So after a race, it is very taxing on my body and it does take quite a long time to bounce back from it. Category number 2 is, where am I at in my season? And that was actually the last race of my season. So that gives me a lot of time to kind of put my feet up and really make sure I get fit and I get healthy again before I get out for my next race. And the last category is how am I feeling? And that was a very important one. The first week I did absolutely nothing. First week after the event, I put my legs up. I didn't go for a single run. I didn't go for a bike ride. I didn't go for a swim. Nothing. I took my dog for a walk for about a mile a day or so, and that was it. Other than that, I didn't do anything. Week 2 is where it gets really difficult, especially once you've been training religiously for the last 6 months and you wake up, you get your workout in because you have this goal, and now you need to recover. You shouldn't be doing a lot of heavy workouts, but you really kind of want to because you're still in that rhythm. So it's important to really pull yourself back and make sure you take your time off. In week 2, I went for a run. I went for, I think, 2 swims and no bike riding at all, and then just my regular going throughout the day. And week 3 is where it all went absolutely down the hill. In week 3, I think we're currently in week 4, I caught COVID. And with that, everything was out the window. My recovery was out the window, no workouts. I felt pretty poorly. The last week could have been a lot worse, but overall just a lot of low energy. Let's put it that way. Not great. And I'm feeling not great, and it's important to step back. Let's wrap this up really quick. And while recovery, you can definitely overcomplicate it. At the end of the day, you have to make sure you give yourself enough time to recover from the event that you had. The longer your event was, the longer your recovery period is going to be. The less experienced you are, the longer your recovery period is going to be. Where you're at in your season, the closer you are to the next race, the shorter your recovery period is going to be. And how you're feeling, the better you're feeling, the shorter your recovery period is going to be. The more awful you feel, like I did last week, the longer your recovery period is going to be. It is very simple. At the end of the day, we have to pull ourselves back. After months and months of religious training, it is really easy to do the event, maybe take 4 or 5 days off, and then jump right back in. But we have to think, we're not professional triathletes. We don't do this for a living. You might want to one day do this for a living, but currently there's other things going on in our life. We have a regular 9-to-5 job that we have to focus on that requires energy and attention from our body. We have our training, and then we still have to recover from the race. There's a lot going on, so we just have to make sure we take recovery seriously because we don't want to get injured, especially after a race when your body is so taxed, tired, and rebuilding itself. It is really easy to get sick. It is really easy to get injured if you start running or biking too heavy too soon. So just make sure we recover, we stay healthy, and then we're good to go into our next building block into the next season. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thank you so much for tuning in as always, and I'll catch you next time.